It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me to this great conference. So just to introduce myself, my name is Fiona Eva Bakas from the University of Lisbon in Lisbon in Portugal. So today I'm going to be trying to answer the question of how do we develop creative tourism in small cities and rural areas. So this is based on research done within a 3.5-year project in Portugal. Okay, but first, just to set the scene, within this context of us slowly, hopefully coming out of the pandemic, and all that the pandemic has, so we say, taught us, it's allowed us to stop and think, is that maybe not all tourism is good, and it's trying to, we have an opportunity to try to think what makes good tourism, and what forms of tourism do we want for our region or community. So there's been a number of different types of alternative tourism emerging within the last 20 years. So we've had, for example, creative tourism, ecotourism, social tourism, and more recently, there's been a push towards regenerative tourism approaches. And one of the things that unites all these tourisms is a goal to socialize tourism and to use tourism as a tool for local development and inclusion. So there really needs to be a new definition of what alternative tourism is, and to try to bring it more into the mainstream in order to have a better world for everyone. Then, of course, micro-entrepreneurs, they are the backbone of tourism. They're very important. They form 95% of all tourism businesses, especially micro SMEs, which employ less than 10 people. And the importance of these SMEs is shown by the EU unlocking more than €1 billion to help SMEs across the EU in 2020. So it's very important to have them as any part of a policy, tourism policy development effort. And of course, focusing specifically on extra metropolitan areas. So as I said, small cities and rural areas, there's a need to consider them as places where the creative economy is differently manifested and articulated. Because a lot of the research until now on creative economies, on creative industries, and even creative tourism has been done within a city context. But as we know, there are very different realities in these smaller cities and rural areas. So how does creative tourism develop there? And also one of the differences that we've found within our research is that rural creative entrepreneurs are more socially embedded than their urban counterpoints. And they're more likely to enhance local cultural life, facilitate social cohesion, and increase community spirit. By the way, these pictures that I'm showing, they're all from creative tourism activities that took place within the Creator project. So what is creative tourism? Creative tourism has been defined initially into the 2000s by Richards and Crispin, and it's a tourism that offers the visitors the opportunity to develop their creative potential through active experiences connected to the place that they are visiting, where they're on holiday. Okay, here we go. So according to our research, we found that there were 4 main pillars, elements of creative tourism. So one of them was active participation, the second, learning, community engagement, and creative self-expression. So those are all elements that the creative tourism activity should have. in order to be characterized as creative tourism. And of course, all these elements need to be within the context of a connection to place. So be inspired by the place in which they are taking place. So talking about Creator, what is it? This is a project which was coordinated by the University of Coimbra in Portugal, and it aimed to create a network of creative tourism offers in Portugal. And on the map, you can see all the organizations which participated in the project by crosses and circles. So basically, it was a 3.5-year project. There were 30 researchers involved and 40 participating organizations. And it was a research and practice project. So as well as doing research, we were also trying to mentor and develop these creative tourism offers together with the various organizations who were participating. And these organizations ranged from entrepreneurs to municipalities, public agencies, museums. There was a large variety of organizations that participated. So we had a variety of methods which we used, for example, interviews, questionnaires, site visits, ethnography. We are trying to find out how do organizations develop creative tourism, always within this extra-metropolitan context. So we initially came out with, we tried to organize all this information that we collected, and we organized it into layers. So how are they developing these offers? Layers like in a cake. So here we have right at the bottom, the sources of inspiration. So what were their activities inspired by? You know, for example, heritage, or crafts like music and the contemporary art forms. Then the next layer is the type of organization. So as I mentioned, we have municipalities, various development cultural associations who are developing cultural tourism. And then on the next layer, we have types of activity. So they organize them as standalone, thematic series, walks, tours, or within small festivals. And then right at the top, and this is what we're going to focus on a little bit more now, is the development milieu in which these activities took place. So we basically found out that on a strategic level, they were organized within accommodation and artistic residences, within festivals, even within restaurants. Then we also had various educational organizations that organized the creative tourism activities within those organizations, then within community development initiatives, and also within artisan or networks. So we have 5 main creative tourism development models that we have written a paper about, and if you want more information about that, I can send you the link after the presentation. So the first one was standalone offers, which were repeated. And an example of this was an environmental education NGO called Marca ADL. And they created a series of activities which were inspired by environmental education. So the first one was a germinated houses workshop, where they used elements from the earth and seeds to create these little houses. Then we had another activity which was a ragdoll. So they used local straw and socks. And then they made bird baskets. So they were doing this also in the context of youth education. So they were combining the creative tourism with youth education as well. Then we had a series of creative activities and under initiatives under a common theme. And what do I mean by this? A very good example of this is Caldas Creative Tourism. So they took the theme of the artists who lived and worked in that area. And this picture here is actually a local actor impersonating Bordalo, who is a very famous Portuguese artist. He had a fascination with cats, and so dressed as a cat to impersonate this artist. And that was part of a guided tour, which also had elements of active participation. And you can see here part of the tour was also to collect items which were inspiring to those artists back in the day, and to recreate that feeling of creating as an artist. And I have just a very short video to show that they created of these walks. Okay, so as you see, they incorporate various elements into the experience as well as just the tour and make it more interactive. This is another example of a series of activities under the same theme. So this is a cooperation between a wool museum, this is in the north of Portugal, and a factory, an old wool factory, which has now been turned into art studios. So they created a weekend, a creative weekend, which would include various elements of to do with wool and fabrics. And I'll show you another little video which they created to explain this this weekend. So then the other type of, so we say, development model that we noticed that was being used by was a localized network for creative tourism. And a good example of that is Lule Creativo. So Lule Creativo is a part of the Lule municipality, which is a place close to the Algarve in the south of Portugal. And they have been very dynamic in bringing together local artisans under a platform curated by the municipality, and getting them together to make items for sale towards tourists. Lule is a very big tourist center in Portugal. They have big golf courses, etc. So this is a municipality activity. Then we have another example, which is a very good example of a community development approach to integrating creative tourism. So this is to do with mosaics. So it's basically housed at the Coimbra Museum in Portugal. And there the activities surround making mosaics. So the people who visit the museum can also have the opportunity to make a mosaic together with the family. You know, it's also a thing which brings together the family. And, you know, that's how they've integrated the creative tourism activity there. And I'll show you another little video where the organizer of this event explains in the Creator documentary how he went about organizing this, like what his thoughts were behind it. So I'll just try to find the right spot. Sorry.
Os museus, eles são tidos como estruturas um pouco estáticas, onde os visitantes observam, adquirem conhecimento, mas não existe muita interatividade. Mas esta é uma realidade que está a mudar. O Mosaico Lab, por exemplo, um projeto piloto aqui em Coimbra, os visitantes adquirem uma experiência criativa através da arte do mosaico.
O património romano, no seu tempo, também era uma expressão de criatividade. E, no fundo, os workshops de mosaico o que permitem é atualizar esse âmbito criativo e permitir às pessoas hoje explorarem a arte do mosaico, a linguagem que está inerente e terem uma relação muito diferente com o património. O turismo criativo é extremamente importante para estes territórios de baixa densidade, porque mostra-nos como se pode desenvolver uma ação estruturante de inovação territorial, social e muito mais que um turismo cultural, desenvolver um turismo que promove a estadia por mais tempo dos visitantes, a sua ligação com o território, com outras áreas do património, inclusivamente uma relação completamente diferente.
I think this gives a very good overview of the other possibilities, the other advantages that creative tourism can give to a region. Then the other development model was within small scale festivals. So an example of this is the creative tourism activities that were integrated into a festival called Il Burro e il Gaiteiro, so the donkeys and the bagpipers. So the idea with this festival is that they move from one village to the other using the donkeys and accompanied by bagpipers. And within the villages, they have various activities, like, for example, making wooden musical instruments, having musical lessons. So they integrated in this way the creative tourism into the festival. Another example is Estivo Festival. This is an small-scale art festival also in the north of Portugal. And there they have a variety of workshops, which basically they attract to attend this festival. So, for example, they have mosaic making, felt making, and wood sculpture, as well as, of course, all the rest of the art performances, dance and music, and etc. Then the last one, which is we found that creative tourism activities are integrated within accommodation. So an example of this is Nazaré Creativa. So Nazaré, as I don't know, maybe you've heard, is known as the place with the big wave, okay? So it's there, the highest wave has been surfed in the world. But this entrepreneur who has houses for rent there in Nazaré wanted to promote the local culture as she knew it, because she was from there. So she created a set of photography workshops, and also a sewing of a keyring workshop, which was using the local material used for the traditional skirts of the ladies there, and also in the shape of a carabao, which is a horse mackerel, which is very traditional there. So drawing always on local culture and connecting to place. Then the last example which I'm going to give is this of the Aveiro Arts House. Aveiro Arts House offers accommodation, but they also have a clandestine underground cinema where they hold various concerts, film showings, and they also created a variety of creative tourism activities related to music, which is the owner's kind of artistic direction. So here you can see a sonorous sculpture workshop. They made sculptures which also made a noise, a sound. And then they had a noise puppets workshop, which was transforming these cute little teddy bears, through sound and light. And to finish, I'll just show you what this resulted in. Okay. So that's the end of my presentation. We have various publications on about creative tourism. So if you want to get in touch with us, please contact us at creator@ces.uc.pt. And also we have a documentary. So I can also share the link with you if you'd like to see it. It's won various prizes at film festivals. And thank you very much. This is my email. Please contact me if you want later. Thank you. I can hear the traffic in the background.